Han Sol stood at the entrance of the Galactic Federation Academy, his heart beating fast. The massive silver building floated in space, its windows showing the beautiful stars behind it. He was the first human to ever study here, and he felt both excited and nervous. The air inside the academy felt different from Earth. It was thinner, and everything seemed lighter. Han Sol had to be careful with each step, or he would bounce too high. Earth's gravity was much stronger than the standard gravity used in the academy. As he walked to his first class, other students stared at him. Some had blue skin, others had 4 arms, and a few even glowed in different colors. Han Sol tried to smile at them, but most quickly looked away. He heard them whisper Deathworlder when they thought he couldn't hear. In the classroom, a tall student with silver skin raised her hand. "Professor Hyunwoo, is it safe to have a human here? Their planet is classified as a death world." The professor, who looked like a tall praying mantis, adjusted his teaching screen. "Do Young, that's not a polite question. Han Sol passed all our safety tests. He is here to learn, just like you." A student with rainbow-colored hair and gentle eyes moved her desk closer to Han Sol. "Hello, I'm Myra. Don't worry about Do Young. She's just nervous because she's never met anyone from a high-gravity world before." Han Sol thanked Myra with a smile. He took out his data pad, trying to focus on the lesson about galactic history, but simple things kept distracting him. The chairs were too soft, designed for beings with different body structures. The air smelled like sweet flowers, making him slightly sleepy. Even the lights were a strange purple-colored that hurt his eyes a little. During the lesson, Professor Hyunwoo asked Han Sol to share something about Earth. Han Sol thought for a moment and decided to tell them about rain. On Earth, water regularly falls from the sky. We call it rain. Sometimes it's gentle, and sometimes it comes with powerful storms. The entire class looked shocked. Do Young's silver skin turned slightly pale. "Water from the sky, and you just stand in it." "Well, we usually use umbrellas or stay inside," Han Sol explained. "But yes, rain is normal on Earth. It helps our plants grow." Myra's rainbow hair sparkled with interest. "That's amazing. On my world, we have to make all our water in factories. I can't imagine it just falling from the sky." As the class ended, Han Sol realized something important. What seemed normal to him was incredible to others. Maybe being from Earth wasn't just about dealing with a harder world. Maybe it was about bringing new ideas and experiences to the galaxy. Professor Hyunwoo called Han Sol to his desk after class. "You did well today," he said, his mantis-like features forming what Han Sol guessed was a smile. "Remember, every species here has something unique to teach others. Earth's challenges have made humans strong in ways we're just beginning to understand." Han Sol nodded, feeling more confident. This was just the first day, and already he had so much to learn and to teach. 1 week after his arrival, Han Sol walked into the Academy's gymnasium for his first physical education class. The room was enormous, with a ceiling that seemed to stretch forever. Professor Jaewon, who had 4 arms and blue scales, stood in the center of the room. "Today, we will test your basic physical abilities," Professor Jaewon announced. "Everyone will perform 3 exercises: jumping, running, and lifting." Han Sol noticed the gravity felt even lighter here than in other parts of the academy. He raised his hand. "Professor, what's the gravity setting?" "Standard galactic level, 0.3 of your Earth gravity," Professor Jaewon answered. "Is that a problem?" Han Sol shook his head, but he felt worried. He had trained for low gravity, but this was his first real test. The class lined up for the jumping exercise. Do Young went first, her silver skin gleaming as she jumped 1 meter high. The class clapped. Myra followed, her rainbow hair flowing as she reached 1.2 meters. More applause followed. Then it was Han Sol's turn. He bent his knees slightly, remembering his training. But he had lived in Earth's gravity for 18 years. When he jumped, he shot up like a rocket, almost touching the high ceiling. The entire class gasped. Even Professor Jaiwan's scales changed color in surprise. That's nearly 6 meters. Yunat exclaimed, quickly taking notes on her datapad. She was doing a project on different species' abilities. How is that possible? Hansol landed softly, feeling embarrassed. Earth's gravity is much stronger. My muscles are used to working harder. The running test showed similar results. While other students moved gracefully around the track, Hansol had to be extremely careful not to bounce too high with each step. Still, he finished the course in half the expected time. During the lifting exercise, Professor Jaiwan had to keep adding more weight to challenge Hansol. What felt heavy to his classmates seemed light to him. Du Young watched with growing interest, her earlier fear turning into curiosity. "I think I understand now," she said during their water break. "Your world's gravity made you stronger, but it's not just about strength. You have to be careful with everything you do here, don't you?" Hansol nodded, taking a careful sip from his water pouch. "On Earth, we have a saying. With great power comes great responsibility. I never understood it as well as I do now." Professor Jaiwan called the class together at the end of the session. "Today we learned something important. Each species has different strengths and challenges. Hansol's abilities seem amazing to us, just as your abilities might seem amazing to him. This is why the Galactic Federation brings us together, to learn from our differences." As they left the gym, Yun-Ah approached Hansol with her datapad. "Would you mind answering some questions about Earth's physical conditions? I think your data could help design better training programs for everyone." Hansol smiled, realizing that what he had seen as a disadvantage, being from a Deathworld, might actually help others. His strength wasn't just about muscles. It was about adapting and helping others understand Earth's unique challenges. The Academy's cafeteria was huge, with tables of different shapes and sizes to accommodate all species. Hansol sat down with his lunch tray, carefully checking the food labels. He had brought something special from Earth today, a bottle of hot sauce. Tahi, a student with green skin and silver eyes, sat next to him. She had become interested in Earth culture after seeing Hansol in physical education class. "What's that red liquid?" she asked, pointing at the bottle. "It's hot sauce," Hansol explained. "We put it on food to make it taste spicy." He added a few drops to his standard academy meal. The moment he took his first bite, alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed across the cafeteria. Several students jumped from their seats in panic. A robotic voice announced, "Warning! Toxic substance detected. Emergency protocols activated." Security robots rushed toward Hansol's table. Professor Hyunwoo hurried over, his mantis-like arms waving. "Stop. Hansol, what are you eating?" "Just regular lunch with some hot sauce from Earth," Hansol said, confused. He held up the bottle. "It's made from chili peppers. They're plants that grow on Earth." Myray scanned the sauce with her datapad. "Professor, it contains capsaicin. That's a defense chemical that plants use to stop animals from eating them. It's classified as a mild toxin." The cafeteria fell silent. Everyone stared at Hansol, who was still eating normally. Tahi's silver eyes grew wide with fascination. "You mean humans eat plant toxins for fun?" "Well, yes," Hansol said. "Many Earth foods have similar compounds, like chocolate or coffee or tea. They're normal for us." Professor Hyunwoo silenced the alarms. "This is remarkable. Humans have evolved to not just resist these toxins, but to enjoy them. Tahi, you're studying xenobiology. What do you think about this?" Tahi couldn't contain her excitement. It shows how Earth's complex ecosystem shaped human evolution. The ability to eat foods that other species find toxic gave humans more food options. That's amazing. Other students gathered around, asking questions. Hansol explained about different spicy foods from Earth, coffee shops, and how some people even competed to eat the spiciest peppers possible. That's why Earth is called a death world. Du Young realized, her silver skin shimmering with understanding. It's not just the gravity or weather. Even your food tries to fight back, and you turned it into a cuisine. Hansol shared his hot sauce with Professor Hyunwoo, who took a tiny, careful taste. The professor's antennae twitched. Fascinating. The chemical defense mechanism creates a burning sensation, yet humans interpret it as a pleasant flavor enhancement. By the end of lunch, Hansol had become the cafeteria's main attraction. Tahi made detailed notes about Earth's food customs, and several students asked if he could bring more Earth snacks to share. Under proper safety supervision, of course. Just wait until I tell them about wasabi, Hansol whispered to Mireille, who was already looking up Earth's other toxic delicacies on her datapad with growing amazement. The space around the Galactic Federation Academy glittered with stars. Hansol floated in his spacesuit alongside 5 other students during their routine spacewalk exercise. Jae-in, an engineering student with crystalline skin, led their study group. Remember to stay within the safety field. Professor Jae-won's voice came through their helmet communicators. Today's exercise is to repair a damaged satellite panel. Hansol watched as Jae-in demonstrated the proper repair technique. The work was delicate, requiring careful movements in zero gravity. Earth's harsh conditions had prepared Hansol well for precise tasks while wearing protective gear. Suddenly, their radiation sensors began beeping. Professor Jae-won's voice turned urgent. Warning. Unexpected solar flare detected. All students return to the airlock immediately. The safety field flickered as waves of radiation from the nearby star washed over them. Jae-in's crystalline form began to dim, affected by the intense radiation. The safety field is failing, she said, her voice weak. Hansol looked at his own radiation sensor. The numbers were high, but he felt fine. On Earth, humans lived with background radiation all their lives, protected by their planet's magnetic field. Their bodies had evolved to repair minor radiation damage. Everyone link your suits together, Hansol commanded. I'll lead us back. He connected their safety tethers, creating a chain of students. The radiation levels are too high. Mireille worried, her rainbow hair visible through her helmet. Our suits weren't designed for this intensity. Trust me, Hansol said. Earth's radiation levels can spike like this during solar storms. Our bodies can handle short exposures. He positioned himself at the front of the chain, using his suit's thrusters to guide the group. The distance to the airlock seemed endless. Hansol's radiation sensor kept climbing, but he remained focused. His classmates' suits were failing one by one, their power systems affected by the radiation. By linking together, they shared the remaining power. Finally, they reached the airlock. Hansol helped each student inside, making sure everyone was safe before entering himself. The inner doors closed just as another wave of radiation hit the academy. In the medical bay, the doctors checked everyone carefully. To their surprise, while the other students needed minor treatments for radiation exposure, Hansol's body showed no damage at all. Remarkable, the chief medical officer said, reviewing Hansol's scans. Your DNA repair mechanisms are incredibly efficient. Earth's harsh environment has given humans natural radiation resistance. Jae-in, recovering quickly thanks to her crystalline biology, approached Hansol. I was wrong about you, she admitted. When you first arrived, I thought humans were too dangerous to be here. But today, that same dangerous background saved our lives. Professor Jae-won gathered the group. Today's incident demonstrates why diversity is crucial in space exploration. Each species' adaptations can help others survive. Hansol's Earth-evolved traits turned a potential disaster into a valuable lesson. Hansol smiled, thinking about how Earth's challenges had prepared him for this moment. What his classmates saw as extraordinary abilities were simply survival traits from his homeworld. Perhaps being a Deathworlder wasn't just about surviving harsh conditions. It was about using those adaptations to help others. Evening had settled in the Academy's dormitory common room. Hansol sat with his classmates around a holographic display showing images of Earth. After the spacewalk incident, more students wanted to learn about his home planet. "This is what we call an ocean," Hansol explained, showing a video of massive waves crashing against a shore. "It's a huge body of water that covers most of Earth. We swim in it for fun." Su-jin, who could sense emotions, sat forward with interest. Her pearl-like skin glowed softly as she detected Hansol's genuine fondness for these dangerous conditions. "You mean you willingly enter water that moves with such force?" "Yes," Hansol replied. "We learn to swim when we're young. The waves can be dangerous, but understanding the water's movement helps us stay safe. Some people even surf. They ride the waves on special boards." The hologram shifted to show a thunderstorm. Lightning flashed across dark clouds while rain poured down. Several students moved back instinctively, but Mireille leaned closer, her rainbow hair reflecting the lightning's glow. "Sometimes we get storms like this," Hansol continued. "The lightning can be as hot as the surface of a star, and the thunder is so loud it shakes buildings. But we've learned to live with it. We even have special tools to protect our homes." Do Young's silver skin rippled with amazement. "And you just sleep through this?" "Most of the time," Hansol smiled. "Some people find the sound of rain relaxing. We also use these storms to generate power. The lightning helps create nutrients in the soil for our plants." Tahi, who had been taking notes, looked up. "What about the animals on Earth? Are they as resilient as humans?" Hansol showed them images of various Earth creatures. "Many are even tougher than we are. We have bears that can survive extreme cold, birds that fly through hurricanes, and fish that live in water so hot it would cook most creatures." Su-jin confirmed to the others that everything Hansol said was true. She could sense no deception in his emotions. "Your world sounds terrifying, yet you speak of it with love." "Earth is challenging," Hansol admitted, "but it's also beautiful. The same forces that make it dangerous also create amazing things. The pressure deep in our oceans forms precious gems. The volcanic eruptions build new islands. Even the deadliest storms can produce rainbows." The students stayed late into the night, asking questions about Earth's seasons, its diverse ecosystems, and how humans had adapted to such varying conditions. Hansol explained about climbing mountains where the air was thin, exploring caves deep underground, and building cities in places that experienced both freezing cold and burning heat. "Perhaps," Professor Hyunwoo said, having quietly joined the group, "this is why humans have become such remarkable students. When your entire world is a teacher of survival, you learn to see challenges as opportunities for growth." The announcement echoed through the Academy's halls. The annual survival challenge would begin tomorrow. Students gathered around the main display screen as Professor Jaiwon explained the rules. Each team must survive for 3 days in the Academy's environmental simulation chamber. The professor said, "This year's setting will be particularly challenging. Temperature variations, limited resources, and unexpected weather patterns will test your abilities." Hansol stood with his team. Mireille, Do Young, and Tahi. Other students whispered that the human would struggle with what they considered extreme conditions. The simulation would recreate an environment that most species found nearly unbearable. The next morning, teams entered the chamber. Hansol's first impression surprised him. The conditions seemed mild compared to an average Earth day. The temperature was what humans would consider a pleasant spring day. The gravity was lighter than Earth's, and the air was cleaner than what he was used to. "How can you look so comfortable?" Do Young asked, her silver skin reflecting the artificial sunlight. "The temperature will vary by 15 degrees, and the gravity will fluctuate." Hansol smiled kindly. "On Earth, temperature can change by 40 degrees in a single day. These changes feel small to me." As they set up their shelter, Mireille struggled with the heavy equipment in the varying gravity. Hansol easily carried the heaviest pieces, explaining efficient ways to conserve energy. On Earth, we learn to prepare for anything. Always have backup plans for your backup plans. The first challenge came when acid rain began to fall. Other teams rushed to their shelters in panic. But Hansol calmly showed his team how to angle their shelters' walls to deflect the rain and collect safe water from the runoff, a technique he had learned from Earth's survival guides. This acid rain is quite mild, he explained while teaching them to purify water. On Earth, we sometimes get rain so acidic it can damage buildings. We learn to adapt and protect ourselves. During the night cycle, the temperature dropped significantly. While other teams huddled in their thermal suits, Hansol taught his teammates earth camping techniques. He showed them how to insulate their shelter and maintain body heat efficiently. Your earth survival skills make these harsh conditions seem easy, Tahi observed, taking notes for her xenobiology research. What we consider a survival challenge would be a normal camping trip for humans. On the final day, when the simulation created a windstorm, Hansol's experience with Earth weather proved invaluable. He helped his team secure their shelter and even managed to use the wind to generate power for their equipment. Their team finished the challenge with the highest score in Academy history. Professor Jaiwan praised their performance, noting how Hansol's Earth-based knowledge had transformed apparent disadvantages into strengths. Today's challenge proved something important. The professor announced at the closing ceremony. What one species considers extreme, another calls normal. True survival skills come not from avoiding harsh conditions, but from learning to thrive in them. The Academy's Grand Hall buzzed with excitement as students prepared for the Cultural Exchange Week. Each species would share important aspects of their civilization, and today was Earth's turn. Hansol stood at the presentation platform, feeling both nervous and proud. Professor Hyunwoo introduced him to the packed audience. Today we will learn about Earth, a planet that many of us once feared. Our perspective has changed greatly since Hansol arrived at our academy. Hansol started his presentation with images of Earth's many different environments. He showed deserts where temperatures changed from burning hot to freezing cold in a single day. He displayed rainforests where thousands of species lived together in complex relationships. The audience watched in fascination as he explained how humans adapted to live in all these places. But Earth's harsh conditions gave us more than just physical strength, Hansol explained. They taught us creativity and teamwork. He showed pictures of ancient human shelters, modern cities, and space stations. When the environment is challenging, you learn to work together and find new solutions. Minji, the class historian, raised her hand. Her holographic form sparkled with interest. How did humans develop technology in such difficult conditions? Each challenge pushed us to innovate, Hansol answered. We learned to control fire because we needed warmth. We built boats because we had to cross dangerous waters. We created medicine because we faced many diseases. Earth's difficulties forced us to become problem solvers. During the break, students from different species approached Hansol to share their own stories. Mireille explained how her people learned to live without water, creating it from air instead. Du Young described how her ancestors developed their metallic skin to survive cosmic radiation. We are not so different, Su Jin observed, her emotional sensors detecting the shared feelings of determination and resilience. Each of our species faced unique challenges. We all found ways to survive and grow stronger. The day continued with more presentations. Hansol learned about worlds with eternal darkness, planets covered in ice, and gas giants where people lived in floating cities. He realized that every species had their own kind of strength, their own ways of overcoming difficulties. Professor Hyunwoo concluded the session with an important observation. Today has shown us that being from a death world is not a disadvantage. Earth's challenges created a species that understands the value of adaptation, cooperation, and never giving up. These are lessons all of us can learn from. Minji announced she would start a special project to document Earth's history. Your planet's story should be preserved in our archives, she told Hansol. Future students need to understand that different does not mean dangerous. Sometimes, the hardest paths create the strongest travelers. The end of the academic year approached at the Galactic Federation Academy. Hansol prepared for his final presentation, which would determine if more humans could join the Academy in future years. The Grand Hall was filled with not only students and teachers, but also officials from various worlds. Professor Hyunwoo stood at the podium. When we first accepted a human student, many feared it was too dangerous. Today, Hansol will show us what we have learned from Earth's unique perspective. Hansol activated the hall's environmental controls. Suddenly, the room's temperature began to change, mimicking Earth's seasons. A gentle spring breeze carried the scent of flowers, then shifted to summer's warmth. The audience experienced autumn's cooling air, followed by winter's crisp chill. These are Earth's seasons, Hansol explained. Every 3 months, our entire world transforms. Plants change color, animals adapt their behavior, and humans adjust their lives accordingly. This constant change taught us to be flexible and resourceful. He showed images of Earth's children playing in snow, farmers working through summer heat, and cities functioning in all weather conditions. We don't just survive these changes, we celebrate them. Each season brings its own activities, festivals, and opportunities for growth. The officials whispered among themselves, impressed by how humans had turned environmental challenges into cultural strengths. Professor Jaewon's scales changed color with excitement as she realized the training possibilities this offered. Because of Hansol's success, Professor Hyunwoo announced, the Academy will create an Earth Studies program. Future students from all species can learn how Earth's challenges can help us adapt to any situation in space. Tati, who had documented Hansol's entire year, presented her research. Human adaptability isn't just physical. Their minds are equally flexible. They see problems as puzzles to solve, not barriers to avoid. The Galactic Cultural Exchange Program representatives approached Hansol after the presentation. They offered him a position as Earth's first cultural ambassador to the galaxy. His role would be to help prepare both humans and aliens for increased interaction between their worlds. You've shown us that what we once feared can become our greatest teacher, Du Young said, her silver skin glowing with friendship. Because of you, we understand that strength comes in many forms. Myrae, whose rainbow hair had brightened during a presentation, added, and you learned from us too. You showed that being strong doesn't mean having to face everything alone. As Hansol looked at his classmates, now close friends, he realized that his year at the Academy had changed more than just their view of humans. It had proven that the greatest adventures come from embracing differences rather than fearing them. Professor Hyunwoo concluded the ceremony with words that would be remembered for generations. From a world that never stops challenging its inhabitants, we have learned our most important lesson. It's not the harshness of conditions that defines a species, but how they choose to face those challenges and help others along the way.